then it records.
Okay.
Honestly, for this mic, and I've had it for ages, right? Because I always have it on Omni, which means both of us are here. I've never had to do this where it's just me talking to someone.
Yeah.
I normally just talk into my like crappy little headphones. So I'm actually I literally had to like do about an hour's research before I did this podcast because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, you did well. Is it recording now?
Yeah, I'm more nervous now than I ever have been doing a show ever.
Why?
And I'm in the comfort of my own home.
I know why. It's a lack of something. I don't know what, but anyway. Welcome to the show. Now,
this is the Trout Spinners podcast. I am your host, Mr. Miles Pennell. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Gary Forrestal. Say hello, Gary.
Hello. I said it before, but I'll say it again.
Well, we all appreciate it, and then making your presence known, mate.
I am.
We're recording this via the platform Skype.
Yeah. So please, I would just want to say on that point, please do bear with us with any audio issues, quality of presenter issues, poor chat. No, but the audio.
We can replace a microphone, but we can't place a presenter.
Yeah, we literally could replace this in 2 seconds. But
you bought a microphone, didn't you, for this?
I haven't got it, but yes, I bought a microphone. But I would just say, apart from the microphone stuff, the evidence that it's difficult on Skype is that this is actually the second time that we've recorded this episode. And
it's already better.
Yeah, we recorded about. I don't think so. We recorded about 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
With Miles sat on his toilet, and it didn't record.
I wasn't going to the toilet though. Let's bear that in mind.
No, I would not have.
Can I just explain, dear listener? I live in a 1-bedroom flat with a shared occupancy, and the only other free room is the bathroom. So I thought, for the sake of a peaceful life, I'll go and sit in the lavvy and do the first podcast ever done on the shitter.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there have been podcasts done like that before. I don't know.
Chris Moyles.
Yeah. Who's that one? Jono
Coleman.
But yeah. So do bear with us. Miles last time was in his bathroom. We think the issue was the internet signal was weaker. So. And we just, Mars listened to the audio after, and he texted me and just said, "We can't use any of that, mate. We can't." It just. Actually, you could hear me fine, but you just hear Mars. So maybe a lot of our listeners would like that.
Well, don't say that.
I'm joking. And probably I'm sure
Harry, I can stop the recording anytime I want.
I'm sure FLJS would want just you, not me.
I'm sure that's not the case. Someone's got to call you other than me.
So what we started off with last week was a bit of chat about, the situation, and it's very strange.
Yeah.
I think we're all getting a bit more used to it now, though, aren't we? So
I actually feel a bit more of a routine. Like I sort of get up in the morning, and then I get out of bed.
Yeah.
Is this the case? Otherwise, I'd be dead. No, I get up, have a long breakfast, chill out, check my morning emails, lunch.
You sound like a
walk around a bit.
Wanker. No, I don't know. You just sound like one of those guys. Yeah, sure. I get up in the morning, I check my emails, I just swing by the kitchen and grab a bit of toast.
That's like Train Guy from Bob Mortimer. Have you seen that?
No.
It's basically, he's done like the Barry Homeowner thing from Atletico Minutes, which is also very funny.
Yeah, we're both huge fans of Bob Mortimer, and actually we're not we really like comedy, but our tastes aren't really broad. My Mars likes a lot of podcasts and things, but we've got a few. We don't like loads of people, but there's a few people who we really like: Mortimer, Harry Hill, Stuart Lee, Gervais, the old Gervais.
Yeah, Father Ted.
Yeah, Father Ted, we're massive. But yeah, we love more. But anyway, but the situation is kind of, just getting more used to it. I go to the supermarket. It's just, it's just normal now.
What have you been eating? Give me some recipes because I'm interested in recipes.
I found some salmon, which I was delighted about.
What cut
So
was smoked,
I
poached? What was
no,
it?
it was just no, it was neither. It was just salmon, just raw salmon, and had that with potato waffles. But
How old are you?
I'm
That's like, you know,
36 next month or a couple months. But no, actually, potato waffles
10% broccoli as well.
no, they have a reputation of, being unhealthy and for kids, but actually they're quite healthy, really. They've got very little fat in them. Anyway, so I had that. Other than that, I've had pizzas. I haven't always cooked. There's hardly any meat. There's hardly any meat.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of vegetables, but
I
there's
think
hardly
that's a good thing, though, isn't it? If
what
people could be a bit more of a flexitarian, do that whole.
I hate that.
I know, but but all these things have a name, and you just have to go with it.
No, I know, but with flexitarian, I kind of I concede, things should have names, but and there are conditions that, but flexitarian by definition means
To be flexible.
with everyone. No. But the definition of what we mean, I know it's got flex in it, but it's like everyone's a flexitarian because everyone who eats meat is a flexitarian technically. So there are times when they're
Not
not
necessarily, because some people have meat with every single meal.
Okay, but let's say that's like okay, let's say you have meat with every meal, but one out of every 200 meals you don't have meat. Then technically you're a flexitarian. Anyway, it's just too broad. I won't. Well, let's not get into it. But it's just too broad.
Bored of it, mate.
But yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I'm just that's what I'm eating. I was delighted to find they had pizzas, and also I had a Domino's. Other pizzas are available, but yeah, I had a Domino's the other.
How many pizzas did you get from Domino's?
Oh, just one.
Did you? Oh, the loneliest man having the loneliest pizza.
It was great. It was chicken, pepperoni, mushroom, extra tomato, and extra tomato sauce. So chopped tomatoes and extra tomatoes because I love the tomato. I love the acidic flavour.
Oh,
anyway,
I'm so glad we started this podcast early.
I know, yeah. But yeah, just thanks.
I was listening to Emma Barnett on Radio 5.
Okay.
Do you know Emma Barnett?
No, I don't.
She's really great. She's like the sort of political sort of journalist. She's really fun. She's quite young. She's like 35 or something. She's really interesting. She was talking about obviously Corona because everyone's talking about Corona all the time, every day.
Yeah.
And the topic of the day was haircuts, and it did sort of come up to me when I just thought, oh fuck, I'm actually gonna have to have a haircut at some point.
Well, actually, I just 2 weeks ago, my hair was getting really long. I don't know if you remember, but because my hair isn't that long, Mars's hair is longer than mine, but my hair was getting really long for me, and far too long, probably the longest it's been in a few years. And I just happened to go. I thought, oh, I'll go to the hairdressers. And I went, and then in the hairdressers, we were kind of joking. I joked with him. I was like, "Oh, you could be closed in a week. I wouldn't be able to come here." So I had no idea that would actually happen. But my God, I'm telling you now, if I hadn't gone for that haircut, I would be devastated now because
that's like that joke that Carl does. Oh, you're homeless. Haven't you got a home to go to?
Haven't you got a home to go to? Yeah, you're always here. But yeah, we were joking, and I said, yeah, you might even be closed. And actually, we even shook hands at the end. It was my fault. Yeah, I know. I really.
You really?
We always shake hands. It's totally my fault because just out of habit, obviously I wouldn't now because I'm so ingrained in me not to. But I just went to shake his hand. But yeah, that haircut, £13.50. I'm so delighted that I got it because I'm not. You can judge this. I'm not vain. Look at me now, I'm not. But I just hate.
You're looking kind of arrogant now.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I just hate long hair.
How much do you think I spend on my haircut?
And I know you wouldn't spend that much. That's a Ricky and Steve thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just to the listeners. I'm happy to say this. I'm happy to say this. This is fair enough. And this is not. I'm not. This is not me kind of over complimenting you at all. But it's fair to say Miles has stylish hair, and I don't. That's fair.
You'd be correct in saying that, mate.
That's well. It's almost arrogant for you to say it, but for me to say it, you could have left that on a win where I said it and you were like, oh yeah, oh thanks very much, but you were like, you had to say it yourself. But anyway, yeah, his hair's stylish, and mine is not. So I'd imagine that Miles would spend 30 quid on your haircut.
Go higher.
40.
Go even higher.
Well, just tell me. I'm not going to play this game.
£50.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of money. Do you get the same person every time? Because
it's have the same person every time, and it's high quality chat, which is important. You get a little cheeky massage. And also, I think it's like that's my, this whole thing, self-care. Yeah. I like baths. I like haircuts. I like long drinking sessions with friends. I'm a big fan of self-care.
We're missing out on all of these things. Is that what you mean? Yeah, we are. We're missing out. No, you.
Yeah, we are. It makes me sad, but it's all for the it's all for the greater cause, and we can't take anything for granted. And it's really good that we are, I don't know. There's a lot of people worse off, at the moment.
Yeah, but as I said before, of course, absolutely, there's a lot of people worse off, but. It is a sacrifice, but it's totally worth it. And people, I hate it when people compare things to the war, but I do think it's reasonable to compare this. If you're really complaining about this sacrifice that we're making, it is relevant to say, well, in the war, you had to go, if you were a man, you had to go to war. If you're a child, you had to be evacuated to a total stranger's house miles and miles away from where you live. If you
do that, baby.
Work in the factory. So our sacrifice is nothing compared to that. And as I said before last week, I think it's kind of created a nice shared experience because we're doing this podcast now. And the thing I like about it most is we've got so many listeners from different places in the world. When I say it, we don't have so many listeners like we got loads and loads, but
3 or 4.
It is building. Well, I'm listening right now, so that's 5. It is building up, but. In this strange time that we're in, it's kind of nice to have a podcast because it's like, well, for the first time, a podcast creates a shared experience.
Yeah.
So in a much worse way and not a nice way, does coronavirus. It's created a shared experience. So
who thought it just takes a pandemic to get over Brexit to bring us all together?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, well.
It was planned.
But that's the thing. As soon as coronavirus is really over, Brexit will start again. So it's not we haven't got.
No, it'd be something. Something will come along and it'll be even better. It's like a novel. It's like Ben Elton would write something like that.
He will. I don't like Ben, but yeah. Thanks, because we did a little show, didn't we? We did a mini show, which was just sort of a listener feedback show, and we've had feedback.
A lot of people very happy with the response of that one.
Yeah, I mean, you send me some because Mars does the social media, but
I do.
I've said this before. Mars does the social media, and that's true.
I do, yeah.
But what I will say is that he physically does it, but often, not all the time, but
with my fingers often.
I don't lift any fingers of mine, but sometimes Mars will text me and say, "What shall I put out now? What do you think I should put?" And I will say, so some of the things that I'll put out are from me, but they're not. But Mars does it because he's a workhorse. He does really well with that. But and I would say most of the time, by the way, Miles actually just does the social media. I'm not involved in it at all. But I do love seeing your responses, and thanks so much for Erin for getting in touch. And it's really nice, interesting to know a bit about you and being a musician. Did you know
you play an instrument?
I can play the clarinet.
Yeah, you could do a little rehearsal together.
Well, I got to grade 4, I think, and every grade exam I passed with a score of about between 100 and 102. And now to you that sounds high, but the minimum pass mark is 100, and it goes to like 300 or something really high.
Could you play Come On Arlene at a wedding?
I literally on a clarinet, like a bill. No, but I did enjoy it, and I really wish that I could play either or both the piano and the guitar. And I'll tell you this, I've always envied people massively who
have a girlfriend,
who can play. No, yeah, who can play multiple instruments and
languages,
and people who can speak multiple languages.
Agreed on that one.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And she does festivals, and she's a music teacher. And thank you so much for your message. And it's very, very nice. And she said it's oddly unifying to know the whole world is experiencing the pandemic crisis together. And I'm glad you're healthy and self-isolating in there. And that's the only feedback Mars sent me this week. So Mars might have some. But,
I kept all the blaspheming and all the swearing till now.
Yeah, but no, it's very kind of you. We're delighted, and thank you. I to be honest, when we did this sort of mini show, I thought we won't get any reaction to that. People won't listen to that because it's just, we're just putting that we're just doing listener feedback. But we did get feedback to it, so I'm really pleased. So thank you. Now, what are we doing this week, Miles? That was the longest preamble we've ever had. But
I'm a bit tired now. To be honest.
I'm very tired today, so I apologise. We are reviewing, and Miles is going to do his little written bit now.
I am going to do my little written bit, but first, Gary Forrestal. This is the Trout Spinners podcast. I am your Miles Pennell, and you are Gary Forrestal. Can you tell me a little bit about what the Trout Spinners podcast is about for any new listeners? And can I also say, hi, welcome to Nice Plum Cover.
Nice plum cover, yeah, that would be a good one. Well, the Trout Spinners is a quite poorly named. No, it's a good. Anyway, I won't get into that. But I wish it had been called something different. But it was my name in the first. So
yeah.
But Trout Spinners is a retrospective love letter to the XFM show, the Ricky Gervais show on XFM that aired between 2002 and 2004. It is our sort of experience of these shows. We bonded over them.
Blonded.
What?
Blonde. What you said? We blonded over these episodes.
We blonded over them. We brunetted over them.
Yeah.
No, we bonded over them, and it's kind of. Then we started to realise there were not many, but there was a few people in life, very small number,
mentalists,
who listen to the show, and all of them love it. Like there's no one like if we were doing this podcast about EastEnders, and for our international listeners, that's a soap opera here. There would be millions of people who'd know it, but loads of people who kind of watch it. And they just watch it for habit. They just watch it for the sake of it. They don't really like it. There's people who really like it as well. But it would be like, it's hard to tell who your fan base are. But this XFM show, we kind of realised that anyone who likes it absolutely
really likes it.
And we really wanted, and I'll be honest, we were searching around for a podcast to do for a while. And we were knocking around ideas. And then Miles said to me one day, because he listened to an Alan Partridge one, and someone he knows does it, but he said, why don't we do that of the XFM shows? It's like the thing we love the most. For years, literally years, I've known Miles for 7 years. For years, we would just text each other completely out of context, quotes from the show, and we'd do that all the time, and we absolutely love it. We know a lot about it. Now, if we were doing this podcast about anything else, we'd be shambolic because we don't know a lot about anything else. But
you don't know anything about anything else. You
don't know anything. But this, we know it well. We love it, and we just, and what we wanted to do, what we didn't want to do. Actually, one thing we didn't want to do is to review the podcasts. The XFM, the podcast they did after XFM, because by that time their relationship has started to sort of become different, and different things were happening with their relationship. But on the XFM show, it's absolutely pure. It's a relationship that I've never heard before or since on radio. It's very, very real. The podcasts aren't real. They're not scripted either, but they're not as real. But whereas these are real, and so, and the other thing is, what was I going to say?
You got any more of that Turkish delight? Do you have any more of that? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
You don't do that.
Sorry, I forgot where I was doing.
It's not like you're asking for oxygen. You're asking for Turkish delight. It's something you can live without. For like. We're honest. So there's some shows that aren't as good as others, that we listen
to. Shall we preempt this by saying what show we're talking about?
Well, just before that, because I'll get this point in. There's some shows that aren't as good as others, and this, like last week, for example, it's what I realised is when I was going back, like even the ones that aren't as good have, like, now Mark Commode says this thing about a comedy film should have, if it's got 6 laughs in it,
the 6 laugh test.
It's 6 laugh test. Now, even in the shows that aren't so good, or I still love them, but just relatively, they're not as good as others. They have far more than 6 quotable lines, or really funny lines, or laugh out loud lines. So these podcasts are just absolutely amazing, and kind of. So I just wanted to say that about that. But now, the show we're doing, I believe, I'll say this bit because I think I'm sure, it's episode 11 of season. I know it's season 2, but it's episode 11. And Mars is going to tell you a little bit about the sort of dates and things when it happened.
Okay, so this was first broadcast on the 2nd of November 2002. In this episode, Karl tries to sell his futon and desk combo for £100, that's a pretty good deal, and has a small laughing fit during Rockbusters. I'm going to also put a link to this week's episode, so you can listen to that, and then once you're ready, you can come back now.
I would urge, I would really urge, even if
there's going to be spoilers.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's not like an episode of Morse. The spoilers.
How old are your references?
Well, quite old, but
Breaking Bad, mate. That's what they're watching now.
But I would urge all listeners to follow the link that Mars puts there and listen to the show, because one thing we want to do, even if you're a fan of the show, we want to it's our love letter to each show. So we want you to go and listen to the shows. But yeah, that's the show that we're reviewing this week. Now, my overall thoughts of this episode, I think it's a very good episode. It's better than last week, in my opinion. Some of the boxing chat that we had last week, it doesn't offend me. It's not boring, because I actually quite like some boxing. I'm interested in boxing. I just didn't find it that interesting. Although I will say it's still more interesting than most things you'll see in media these days. It just wasn't that interesting compared with the show. So overall, this is a good show, I think. It's there's a lot of quotable sort of lines and interesting bits. You've already mentioned a bit, Karl selling furniture. One thing I noted down about Karl selling furniture, because he sells it in this episode, but there's a few times he sells furniture, and Karl selling furniture is always, or Karl selling or buying furniture is always funny.
Yeah,
he's selling a chair. This one, he has. Oh, sorry. What's he selling this one? Oh, he's selling a futon
and desk combo.
There's another episode where he's sold a chair, but he hasn't got a new one. When he buys a bed and mattress.
Oh, and his dad saws it in half.
Well, no, that's a separate.
No, that's not that episode. Yeah,
no, but again, it's funny. Anything to do with Karl and mattresses, anything to do with Karl and tables, and it's interesting. Karl is, I think, perfectly suited to extracting comedy from the mundanities of life, like more so than Ricky. And Ricky is a funnier person than probably almost anyone, especially at that time. He's a really funny guy. Carl's very funny, but Ricky's more funny. Like he's a better comedian, but Carl is actually better, I think, at extracting comedy from the mundane things in life. Ricky would take, say, in his stand-up shows, the Bible, which is, whatever you think of it, is a very, very, there's a lot in it, and it's kind of an interesting thing. He'll take that and deconstruct it, whereas Carl can get humor and comedy and laughs from just selling a chair. That's why Sick of It kind of works. So yeah, what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny when you were talking about Sick of It, and I listened to a podcast with him. It's called the Two Shot Podcast with Karl Pilkington.
Yeah,
and he was talking about how people were, complaining that Sick of It wasn't like his earlier work.
It wasn't as funny, but that's
but he knew that.
He wanted it to not be funny. I saw an interview of him on This Morning saying, "Look, it's not going to be funny. It's not going to be funnier people think."
But he said, he brought up like Dyson, and he was like, "Yeah, Dyson. He did all this stuff about sucking, and now he's doing things that are about blowing. He's doing hand dryers." He's like, "But they don't ever go to Dyson, do they? And go, we're bored of you. We're bored of you. What you got? Why can't you do the sucking again? You were good when you did the sucking again. Now you're doing the blowing again."
Yeah,
and that's such a nice little a comparison to what he's doing.
Yeah, Carl would. I hope he never does this, because when he became an actor, I was like, I don't like this in a way. I did like what I kind of.
Do you know that Shane Meadows though is a fan of Karl Pilkington?
Yeah,
Shane Meadows, who did like This Is England.
I know. They could easily work together.
But he's got that sort of social realist kind of thing, like he is a real person, Carl. He's got that authenticity that Ricky never has. But that's why I don't believe in it.
Don't you think with Carl though? I agree with you. He's one of the most authentic people you can get. But don't you? My thought is the danger is the more he does, where he's pretending things, and he's not pretending that he's not pretending. He's acting. The more he does that is away from just talking about his life and Auntie Nora and things like that, and is actual or writing, performing, the less real he gets, whether he likes it or not. I'm not saying like he's still very real, but I just think the danger. That's why, think about what went to Ricky's head and what makes Ricky less real. I agree with you. Ricky was far more real during those days. Never as real as Carl, but he's far more real. He's done like 20 movies, 15 stand-up shows. He's not real anymore, and I don't want Carl to become more real. So my point, I was just going to say that Carl would make the perfect stand-up comedian, but I hope he doesn't do it, because I don't want.
There's no way he would do it as well. There's no way he would do it.
Hang on, but if we were speaking in 2004 and with the subject,
no, I don't think I would even say that about then.
We would we would say there's no way that Carl will ever be an actor. There's no way Carl will ever act in anything. We both have said that.
No, of course, he's not an actor. He only ever plays himself, but that's by his own admission, and he knows that.
That's my point, though. He has acted in things, and although he's playing himself, he's not quite himself. And he played in Derek. He played I can't remember his character's name, but he wasn't quite Carl, but he was like Carl. Yeah. I just worry that the danger. It's like Steve says in one of the shows, and he's half joking, but I can't remember the exact quote, but he says something like, if Carl starts doing loads of stuff, we'll lose him. It's something like that. Lose him, and it's like I don't want Carl to. I just want Carl to. A lot of people want the podcast back, but I don't, because it would never be the same again. But
no,
I just want Carl to live. He's very.
I really like that as a philosophy, though, because I think a lot of people have that. When I left Brighton, and I thought it was going to be like when I came back to Brighton just to visit you, and I was surprised that it was a different place. And that's the thing about sort of memories, isn't it? And what it does to you is like it's never going to ever be the same. It's never going to be that same place that you remember in your memories, it's never going to be as good.
The Office is the same. The
Yeah,
pub.
The Office is great.
But and the Prince Albert. But
Oh.
no, actually, in all seriousness, they're not the same, are they? And things like that change. Little settings change, but it's different when we used to meet in Brighton. It's different because when we meet now, whenever we meet in person now, one of us has just done an hour and a half, 2 hour journey. They're not feeling on top. They're a bit stressed. It's a bit different. It takes the conversation sort of starts in a different place. Where before we were just walking from our houses to. So yeah, it's a different experience. And I guess your point is that nothing ever stays the same, so Karl would never be the same, and I get that.
Yeah.
I just worry that the more Karl does, like what I love when Karl does podcasts and interviews, because he's completely him. Then it's just I do like Sick of It. I haven't seen all of it,
but I think what's interesting about like the work that he does like now, and when people get so excited about the time when he talks about XFM, is because this is like, there's very few things in life that are kind of, when you're part of like an elite club, this is very much like a subcultural, tendency where one can feel like part of something, and it's really exciting to feel part of something, and to know that there was all these, much with that occult audience, there's all these secrets and things that you don't know, and all of this, like you're so hungry for more new information, and when you, because you want to know everything. If you're really passionate about something, you want to know everything. Like if you write a dissertation, or if you write, I don't know, whatever you do. If you're really passionate about something, you want to know everything about it. And that's why I think people hang on to those little nuggets and those little Easter eggs, because you're like, oh my God. Yeah, it's exciting to know. Like in that episode where Karl starts laughing uncontrollably because Ricky's doing something. We'll never know what Ricky was doing.
Yeah. Do you know, in the kind of what you're saying, I agree with you, because do you ever think, like, let's say Steve, because I think that Ricky is, and actually even Ricky, who was far more famous than the other two, even back then, he wasn't as famous as he's now, but he's far more famous. They knew they had an audience who really liked the show. They knew they didn't have a huge audience, but the audience loved the show. Do you ever think? I often think, like, when they get off air, they must think to themselves, especially Steve, probably. Karl doesn't bother, but like, wow, I'm actually hearing. Like he must always get an ego trip from being like, not a one that he would boast about, but like, I am where thousands of people would love to be. I'm off air with Karl Pilkington, and when they talk about their off air chats, I often think of Steve getting a real boost. Like, just if Ricky mentions anything like, oh yeah, off air we were talking about this, it must be, it's kind of nice. I think it'll be nice for them to think, yeah, we're involved in that off air. You're not in a way like.
Yeah, well, that's what Ricky says. He says that in one episode, doesn't he? When that person comes in for the screen test, he goes, "This is the best show off air." I said,
No, but yeah, of course, I know they mention that. But what I'm saying is, there's more to it. Like, I'm saying that whenever, let's say, when Ricky said that, Steve will get, when you get a bit of a ego, but like a hit, like someone says something and it's really nice to hear. It's like Steve will think, yeah, I am part of that. I am actually part of where these listeners want. It's actually quite a difficult thing to explain what I mean, but I didn't do it justice, so I apologize. But yeah,
we might come back to it later. Do you want to do some top quotes?
Yeah, because I think this episode is going to, because we've been recording for quite a while already, and I've really enjoyed it. Like, I've enjoyed
35 minutes, and I wouldn't say I've really enjoyed it too. I've kind of tolerated it, but go on.
Mars, you tolerated those Turkish delights, didn't you?
Do you like Turkish delight?
Yeah, I love it.
Johnson.
Well, yes, I do. What are you going to do? Yeah, this probably we won't talk as much about the actual episode. We will talk about it, but one thing I just wanted to mention before we do top quotes, because it's preempt something that is going to happen probably in the next 2 weeks, I'd say, at some point, is this show is significant for being the introduction of Richard Anderson. It's the first email.
Oh, you said it.
And I can tell our listeners.
So his initial email was,
well,
Ricky, your show is appalling. Are you actually aware you're on radio, or has someone secretly stuck a microphone on you?
Yeah, that's thanks. But do you know what I think? That's a funny email to write. But Steve really does well with this. In fact, it's because of what Steve did on this show that Richard Anderson became a sort of a cult figure, because Steve kept referring to it in a really funny way. Like, I think Ricky would have just forgot, but they're very good at kind of taking like that sort of, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek criticism and making it funny. But Steve does a particularly good job on it. But my point was that we've tracked him down, and he's going to be on this show
on Saturday.
Well, I would just say that it might be Saturday.
And Nick T's been in touch. He's called at ATAGNAT. And he said, "Are you fucking serious? How do we obtain proof? Can't miss this show." Gary, there are a lot of fans hoping and wishing for the best.
Well, I said to you that, because if I was listening to this podcast and I wasn't involved, and someone said they were going to get Fab Dickie Anderson, like I would.
Because we spoke about this earlier in the week. You're really excited about it. You're more nervous than I am.
I'm not. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, because you want to have. It's like one shot, to get a good interview. But what I'd say is that I'm incredibly excited. Like, I'm really excited, because I think that, and I think a lot of listeners will be, because he's such a cult figure. He's such a cult figure. Miles is just showing me a piece of Turkish delight. So that's how it works on this show. I'm making a lucid sort of point. Miles is with the Turkish delight. But no, I think, well, I'd say we're both excited, but I think there's, like, if I was a listener, this would be the biggest thing. That there is no one, almost apart from Ricky, Steve, Carl, that Claire Sturgis wouldn't be as big as this. No one would be as big as this. But I think that I'm really looking forward to it, and I just want to do because we've never interviewed someone before.
Yeah, I'm worried about that.
So obviously there's the issue, because he would have always done it by Skype, but we would have been sat together if things hadn't happened. So, but we're going to be sat. We're going to be sat like we are now, and there's going to be a bit of delay. And anyway, so
I think it's all right. I'm pretty confident. And if you have any questions, I'm going to put this episode out probably tomorrow or next day. But if you've got any questions you'd like to throw to us, please do. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty excited. And I do think it'll be a very authentic and different perspective on the shows. And it'll be nicer just to talk to someone else, because I'm kind of bored of talking to you sometimes,
What's weird? Yeah, well, I'm bored of talking to me. I mean, you. No, I think Miles said, when we were speaking on the phone, Miles said, we know him. I was saying it's going to be a difficult interview. He's like, well, we know him. And I said to Miles, we don't know him at all. No one knows anything about him. No one knows literally anything about him. Not his age, not his occupation. Like, there is no one we could, like, if we interview.
I just think you can't be nervous. I just think you can't be nervous about it, because it's just like a normal person, isn't it?
Could I just say this? I'm not especially nervous. I have like, you give me that advice. It's quite annoying when you say that, because Miles gets nervous. Miles was nervous last week. We were just doing a little show.
This isn't normal, though, is it? For me to talk to you in the fucking webcam.
No, but don't say, just don't get nervous. Like, I'm the one who gets nervous. No, we both be nervous with Dickie.
I don't talk to you like this normally.
Okay, cut that out a bit ago. Okay, so let's do some of our favourite quotes.
Okay, cool. So I'll go
I'm gonna
first.
start. Okay, that's an in. Okay,
Okay, so honourable mentions. Carl, and she speaks, and he goes, "Oh God, got a bit of a bloke's voice," and Steve goes, "Frog in the throat." Yeah,
yeah, that's all right. How did Graceland start?
yeah,
I do like
that's
that
a good
one.
one. That's good. Oh, you lighting a candle? What are you doing? Oh, that's a lovely candle.
Proceed with the show.
5. Old dirty, big cock.
Oh, well, that I would want to mention this because I love that aspect of Ricky. Not because he's saying naughty words, but it's just so funny. Like any normal show would be like, Steve would say, "It's old dirty bastard," and Steve would say, "Old dirty, but oh, I can't say it," and they would just move on. But Ricky not only does he doesn't say bastard. He actually he makes it into something where he knows Steve's done the right thing, so he deliberately does more of the more of the naughty thing, like
Yeah.
old dirty big, like it just
Old dirty big cock.
old dirty big cock. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I love that quite. Not and again, it's not, it sounds like, oh, because he's saying that. Not at all. It's just so funny how subversive it is. It just is. It was a daytime radio show. But lovely knob.
Yeah,
Lovely
that's
knob.
good. And number 4, I've got, when the helicopter just took you back home.
Yeah, that's
Because Carl, sorry, Steve's got tickets to see Bruce Springsteen, and he's getting annoyed because he can get the tube, and I've been there. That is annoying. But you don't moan about it. You just go, and then saying, Ricky would just check into some hotel, have a drink, whatever, then probably get like a. Well, he'd probably just get a black cab, wouldn't he?
Well, that's the thing. Like, actually, funny enough, I met Miles in London recently because
Oh, this is funny. This is funny.
Like, you can. I've never been in a situation where you can't get a cab. Like, I don't go out on
Your
news.
chauffeur often. He's not late, is he?
Oh yeah, as if. But you can always 1 a.m., 2 a.m., midday, 1 p.m. You can always phone a cab and find a cab, especially in London or Brighton as well. So, and also the tube is always running. So I thought. Anyway, we saw Stuart Lee, and it started quite late, didn't it? It started about
it's like 8:30. So.
Yeah, and it was 2 shows. He did 2 shows back to back, so it's 2 hours, and it was like, and the cab was the tube would have still been running then, but then we were all on a high, weren't we? Me, your mum, because it was so good, and we went for a few drinks, and it just turned into a few more, and it was probably about midnight or 12:30, I think. Your mum got a bus to her hotel.
Yeah, she was pissed off about that.
You left to walk back to your flat, and that's fine. And I went down into the tube, and there's a guard there, and he just said, "Sorry, last tube just gone." I was like, "Oh," so I was staying in Paddington.
She said she'd be wearing the white chiffon. Oh,
now it was like. If it had just been a normal time, I would be really annoyed at that point that I had to get a cab. But
I don't think I've ever seen you on a bus as well.
Because I was drunk. We've been on a bus together before, but anyway, yeah, we have in London. Anyway, but because I was so, I'm not going to lie. We'd both been drinking. We've both had quite a few drinks, so I didn't care about spending the money. I cared the morning after. But anyway, I went to just hail a cab, and these cabs kept pulling up, and people went to get in. He's like, "Are you John?" I was like, "No. I'm not. I'm going to stop listening to you."
No. Carry on.
That's right, because it is my rhythm. He's like, "Are you John? Are you Steve?" No, and so it was Ubers that people had. But I was literally for an hour trying to flag a cab down. There was loads of people. People getting in cabs before me. People had booked Ubers. I thought they were free, and it was just I could not get a cab. And I've never
times when you really wanted a chopper.
I had no idea how far away Paddington was because I didn't know how much. Anyway, I eventually got an Uber. Actually, Uber worked really well, and he came and he was taking me, and I kept saying to him, I said, I'm going to give you the biggest tip. I am going to give you such a big tip. No, because I said
That's a bit sexual, that.
But once it had been, well, I didn't mean my penis. I just meant, I meant funds. But I was so relieved to get in the cab, and I kept, when you're a bit drunk and you're sort of, you
feel very
friendly, and so I was saying, I'm going to give you the biggest tip. Do I do it on my phone?
The biggest blowjob of life, mate.
I haven't cash. I put it on my card. Do I do it? But and I was like, you do it. When we got to the location, I was so relieved. I was like, you do it. You put the tip in. So he is he's nice, and I totally trust. He put in the maximum tip because that's what I'd asked him to. And oh my god, I regretted that the morning after. I just the morning after I didn't tell Mars. I just texted him my Uber receipt and was like, it reminded me of the show. Like, sorry, the last time I saw you, we were just dropping me off from Edinburgh. Like, it was very much like that. But yeah, it was. I tell you, it was grim. Wait, I thought because honestly, it got to a point, and I thought I'd not really used Uber before, so I didn't realise it would work. I just thought I'm going to have to sleep here. I'm going to have to sleep outside in the street.
When I live in London.
I'd rather the street. No.
You'd rather hang out on the street.
No, I would. Of course, I wouldn't. But I don't want to. I don't want to bother you. I'm nice. But anyway, so
that was number 4. Wouldn't the helicopter took you back?
Sorry about the segue. I think it's mine. I put it in there. I really like that.
Yeah, I put it in there.
How did it get there? I put it there.
Because that is one of the weaker. I think you've said before, it's one of the weaker educated Rickies.
Oh yeah, I said this on the show that didn't go out because of the audio issues.
Just repeat it, and I'll pretend as I heard in this.
No. Keep all this in. I said it before. Yeah, it's a good show, and I like it. It's better than last week, I think. But the Educating Ricky is not as interesting as usual, and that's because.
They're true.
He does a kind of, you can believe them. They're true. Actually, the frog in the throat one, I looked that up, and apparently that is true as well. Because I wasn't sure, but yeah, it's kind of, it's not as, it's just not. There aren't as many quotable. It's not like, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. That there's so many from every single other Educating Ricky, there's a really memorable line, but here there isn't. But I think the bit I do like is when Ricky does that thing where he goes into acting mode, like, and he acts a little scene out, and he does it so well, and just very subtle, this one, but he just said, "Oh, doctor, I've got a frog in my foot. How did you get there? I put it in there," which is such a ridiculous, sequence of conversation that is funny.
And number 3, I've got. I really sounded like some sort of punch drunk stroke victim.
Yeah,
I just love that because he went, oh, after, like, he can't believe that he even said that because he knows that he's such a naughty guy. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that's not it compared with, like, oh, dirty big cock. Like, he doesn't care of them.
Isn't it funny though? I never look back at that and I go, "Oh, that's really shocking." Obviously, because I've heard the show about 1,000,000 times, and it's very hard to shock me generally. But at the time, imagine saying like "cock" on.
Yeah, this went out between midday, or was it 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. I think, or midday.
Yeah.
And it was, like, because I used to listen to late night radio quite a lot, and there was a host on late night radio called Tommy Boyd. And he used to discuss the thing about swearing, and he said, actually, it's even though there is less regulation, it's harder to. There are more consequences for swearing on radio. So, like, even though we're broadcasting now at 1 a.m. or whatever it was, he's like, I can't swear. Whereas on TV, after they have a watershed. We don't really have a watershed. And I always remember that, like. Because his show was a bit naughty, and he used to take calls without vetting them, and it was quite an interesting show. But I always remember that, him saying about swearing, and then listening to the XFM shows and just thinking, how could this? like it's so naughty, and especially as they got a complaint for saying cock, wouldn't he's just so not worried about getting another complaint. And I kind of, there's something to really admire in that, and I never get the impression that Ricky's swearing on the show is gratuitously swear. Like I always
not at all.
When he says "old dirty big cock," that's really funny because of
it's just schoolboy jovial kind of.
But it's not. It's more than that. When he says "old dirty," he's like he's making a mockery of what Steve just did, like of the completely reasonable thing Steve just did. It's like it's making a point. So, but in Ricky's that's what changes in the podcasts. Ricky does swear too much, and I'm not a prude. Neither of us are prude, but he uses and it's just
he uses the C word so much, and it's just so unneeded. Like he goes, it's just, and I've always got this rule about comedy, whereas, I've not always been on board with, like, there are American comedies that comedians that I really, really like, Bill Hicks and, a number of different people. But what I don't like is this incessant need to, like, swear all the time. Like,
there are some
good comedy, but good comedy should come without the need to swear or shock value. It's much more.
You've used a good example, like, of a comedian who does swear a lot, Bill Hicks.
Yeah, but it's the way he does it.
You're right. No, that's the point I was going to make, because I like George Carlin as well, and he swears a lot. But it's like they create this character on stage, and that character is a character who swears and who would swear in real life. Whereas what we both hate is using swear words to get the humour. That George Carlin and Bill Hicks aren't using swear words to get the humour. They're using swear words because that's their on-stage character, and he would swear in real life.
Yeah.
Whereas, so, I'm not that easily offended, but I hate Ricky's use of the CUNT word. Isn't it much funny? Isn't it much funnier? Isn't it much funnier when he says, "Oh, you"? That's really funny.
It's so funny.
It's just suggesting it, and yeah. So anyway,
same with the office when he goes, "Yeah, she said she'd be wearing a white chiffon scarf."
He does.
That's still one of the funniest things in TV comedy ever.
Well, we regularly will just
that. At number 2, I've got where'd you get this from? Why are you telling me this?
Yeah. I mean, that's your number 2.
Yeah, I love it because it's just like, it's such a non-point what Carl's saying. It's such a why are you telling me this? Sorry, I'm sorry. It's cooled a few minutes, but why do I need to know that someone had a glassy-eyed stare?
Yeah.
It's just not why.
Yeah. That's good. My last one then. Actually, I've got a couple of supplementary things, but 50p. I snapped it up. I just
not bad.
How
Don't
much?
mind that.
50p. I snapped it up because that's like again self-deprecating sort of thing Steve would do, because it's cheap. He would just buy it even though he'd already owned it. But I love that line. And
my top one is Des' Chinese child. Des has got a tiny child.
Yeah.
I just that will always make me laugh. It's got to go. I just got this image in my head. I don't know why. Just always imagine like a small Des Lynam with like a baby's head.
Because
Des Tiny's time, and it's just like, how did you get to that from that? I know it's Rockbusters and it's ridiculous, but it's good. It's one of the Rockbusters. He's got a Tiny's child, not like it's plural.
It's one of the Rockbusters that, like, because often the syntax doesn't work with Karl's Rockbusters, and it's funny because the syntax doesn't work. This is probably the single most clue where the syntax doesn't work at all. Like,
but the syntax is funny because you'd say Des's Chinese child.
I know.
But it's the fact that it's Des Tiny's child. That's
okay. the grammatical structure of how he's saying it doesn't work. I actually, a very subtle line that I really like is, "Have you got anything that you like?"
Yeah, no, that's a very good comeback from Carl. That.
But couple of bits, kind of, because we're talking about quotes, so I wanted to mention. Well, just one thing. It's not a funny quote. It's just something they say quickly. Is I think it's Ricky. It might be Steve. It's Ricky. He says, and this is the first. I think this is one of the first times he's kind of properly mentioned this. Is, God, can't we get Carl on telly?
Yeah.
And my God, they fulfilled that ambition, didn't they?